It was Sunday morning. I was in my room finishing getting dressed when my sister Stephanie opened the door. "Hey, get out! Don't you know how to knock?" I quickly finished pulling the t-shirt over my head, embarrassed that she saw my bare back. "What's the big deal? Your pants were on, all I saw was your back." "It's cute." My face turned red with shame. I tried to forget about it and put on a smile. "Please knock before you enter my room," I said. "By the way, happy birthday." I tossed her a small package. She had turned 17. "Wow. Thanks, Billy," she said and began opening. It had been nearly 6 years since my 10th birthday when I began insisting that everyone call me Will instead of Billy. But Steph never managed to get used to it. So I let her continue calling me that. Steph opened the package and pulled out the t-shirt. She looked at the picture and said, "Wow, that's really nice." She pulled me into a tight hug and planted a kiss on my cheek. Then she walked a few steps away, stood with her back towards me, and took off her shirt. "What are you doing?" I asked, astonished, looking at the bra strap on her bare back. "Trying on your present," she said, pulling the new shirt over her head and over her chest. Then she turned around. "What's the matter?" she asked. I turned around. "All you saw was my back. Besides, everything's covered. I'm wearing a bra." In a way, I respected her courage. Steph wasn't in the least bit embarrassed by the way she looked, unlike me. I was so self-conscious I always wore long sleeves and pants. I would only go swimming alone because I didn't want anyone to see me only wearing shorts. Truth is, Steph had a good body, slim and slightly muscular, so she didn't have anything to be embarrassed about. I, on the other hand, was way too skinny, and not at all muscular. Boys weren't supposed to look like me. Steph looked at herself in the mirror and, with another hug, thanked me again for the shirt. "Billy, come up to my room in about 5 minutes, there's something I want to show you." She closed my door. About half a minute later she opened it again and said, "And by the way, knock before you come in." I went into the kitchen and ate an apple, and said hello to my mother who was sitting at the table reading the paper. Then I went upstairs. "Come in," said Steph. I opened the door, but didn't see her. "Come in and close the door," she called from inside the walk-in closet, "and have a seat on my bed." I did as told. It took her a while to emerge from the closet. In the meantime, I looked around her room. "One more second," she said. A few seconds later, she came out. "Well, what do you think?" she asked. I looked at her, stunned. "You're wearing my clothes," I said. My big sister Steph, the babe, who always dressed attractively, was wearing my baggy jeans and a big baggy t-shirt. Her hair was all pulled up and under a baseball cap. I was wondering where my favorite jeans had disappeared to. "So, do you think I could pass for a boy?" she asked. "Well, maybe, except for those 2 water balloons on your chest." Then she pounced. Half a second later I found myself lying on her bed, face up. She was sitting on my stomach, one knee at each of my sides. Her hands held my wrists at the sides of my head. I struggled to get free, but it was no use. I was pinned. Steph had been working out now for maybe half a year, and now I saw that it had really paid off. "Please get off," I said. "I can hardly breathe." "Sorry, Billy," she said. She sat down by my side and helped me back up into a sitting position. "So, what you think? I don't get it. Where'd this tomboy side come from all of a sudden?" "Billy, I have a proposition to make. It's about next year. You know, Mom and Dad are going away to Texas for Dad's sabbatical year. They're planning on leaving us here alone, which would be okay. I mean, we could look after ourselves, right? Of course, we've already talked about this, that would be the best solution. You and I will stay here in the house and take care of it while they're gone. It'll be fun. We've already agreed on that. What's wrong with the plan? I asked, worried that she decided she wanted to go to Texas with our parents, after all. I really didn't want to go with them. I had been with them in Texas once before and I really hated it. Oh, nothing's wrong with that, Billy. If that's what you still want to do, then I'll stay here with you like we planned. Only. I've been thinking. I mean, why should only Mom and Dad get to go somewhere exciting? Why don't we take a year off and go somewhere interesting as well? I began to wonder what she was getting at. What do you think? She asked. I don't know. I guess it depends where. What ideas do you have? She continued. The summer's just begun. I've been searching on the internet for a while, and I think I've found the perfect place for us. See, I was thinking. If we go somewhere, it's gotta be a place where I can get a good, well-paying job to support the two of us, right? 'Cause you'll have to continue school. I can take a year off before I start college. I wanted to take a year off to work and make some money anyway. But we'd have to pay for rent and food and all kinds of other living expenses. If we lived here at home, we wouldn't have to pay rent, so things would be a lot cheaper. But if we go away, we'll have to pay for ourselves. Then there's the problem. See, since I haven't yet gone to college, I won't be able to find a good job. I'd like to work in computers. You know, I'm already a whiz at computers. I've taught myself everything there is to know. But that won't matter to the big companies. They all want people with degrees. Then one day, a few months ago, I found the perfect solution. There's this place. It's a beautiful island somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean. It's been populated by Americans, but it's considered an independent country. They don't have many citizens, only around 400. So they're always looking for new people to come, and they give out free living arrangements, houses or apartments, depending on the size of the family that comes. In general, it's a very rich island because they have oil there that they sell to other countries. One of their main industries there is computers, and there's this company there that agreed to hire me with an extremely high starting salary. It really sounds perfect, free living arrangements plus a high salary. They always have good weather, never any snow, and never too hot in the summer. They have pretty beaches. Mostly young people like us and a little bit older. There are great schools there that you could go to. It really sounds like the perfect arrangement, in my opinion. What do you think? I hesitated for a moment, then said, sounds really great for you. But where is this place, and why haven't I heard about it? Who lives there? What kind of colony is it? Not many people know about it. Do you remember, a few months ago, when I went away to Denver to see a college? Well, that's what I told you, and Mom and Dad. But really, I went to see it. They actually gave me a free trip out to check the place out. Here, I'll show you on the internet. She began to turn on her computer and dial up to the net. The colony's called Albertton, named after Albert Einstein. It was first founded about 20 or 25 years ago, I think, by a group of rich, ambitious scientists. Or maybe they were philosophers. I had never heard of the place. She began entering in the URL. I really think it would be a great place for us. You'd really enjoy it there. Guys like you are worshipped there. It might be a little surprising at first, but keep an open mind. Here, take a look. The opening page came on screen. Albertton, a modern, 21st century civilization. Founded on the values of equality and democracy, love, respect, eternal youth, and a love of life. Barbara Stimbeck, Governor. The screen displayed the colony's symbol, a coin-like shape with the words equality, democracy, love, respect, youth, life inscribed around the perimeter. I clicked on the symbol. The next screen showed an aerial view of the island. It was surrounded on all sides by water. From above, it looked nice, with beaches, lots of large patches of green grass. I could see private homes and townhouses. There were lots of private swimming pools, and many larger, public pools, with big water slides and other attractions. There was a large amusement park, and an airport. What can I say? It looked nice. Looks nice. So what's the catch? I asked. Well, here's the thing. How exactly should I put this? About 20 years ago there was this group of scientists, no, I think they were philosophers. In any case, they were really, really rich. Well, anyway, it was in the middle of the big feminism craze. They had this theory about men and women. They thought that just about all the differences between men and women were merely programmed, that girls were taught to act like girls, and boys like boys. They thought that if they wanted to, they could condition people to be the exact opposites. And they wanted to test their theory out. I wasn't sure where this was leading, but I began to feel a little uneasy. Steph continued. So they put together this group of about 50 young couples who were willing to test it out. They bought this island, far away from normal civilization, and took about 5 years just to set it up before the people came to live there. Then the people came and reversed the sex-linked roles entirely. In order to help with the effectiveness, they even decided to be a bit sexist against men. Only women were allowed to vote and to hold well-respected positions and professions. Most of the men became house husbands. The men dressed attractively in tights, dresses, and skirts the way women dress in our civilization, and the women dressed professionally in pantsuits and the like. Men wore makeup and shaved their body hair, women let their leg and armpit hair grow, and were proud of it. Many of the men underwent muscle reduction surgery, while the women worked out, lifted weights, and some even took steroids to increase their muscle mass. And they raised their kids the same way, dressed the little boys in dresses and tights, or spandex shorts and tank tops, and the little girls in pants. The boys had long hair with ponytails, and the girls had short hair. They gave the boys dolls to play with and the girls tractors. The girls played football, hockey and wrestling, and the boys did gymnastics and dance. The kids who were young when they came, or who were born there, got used to it really quickly, and thought of it as normal. As for the adults, it took them a lot longer to get used to it, but they persevered. After about 5 years of action, everyone realized that their civilization was actually a lot more productive and efficient than normal, male-dominated ones. Crime is almost non-existent. Homosexualism is unheard of. Life's a lot more peaceful, and everyone's a lot happier. Slowly, more families joined over the years. The financial side was especially enticing, especially after they struck oil. And nowadays, the children who were born there are adults and beginning to take control. They never knew a different way of life, so it's completely normal. By now I had almost turned green. I was listening to what she was saying, in astonishment, sick to my stomach. I couldn't believe she was actually suggesting that we go live in such a place. Finally she noticed my uneasiness. "Billy, I know this must be rather surprising for you." "I won't go," I announced adamantly. "That's disgusting." "I won't go." "Look, Billy, I can understand that you wouldn't want to go. Don't worry, I won't force you, or try to pressure you. But just do me one favor, think about it for a day or two. I mean, we wouldn't be going forever, 1 year maximum. Wouldn't it be interesting to try out a different way of life? I mean, you've grown up all these years looking at women, never ever thought about what it would be like to try to be one? I think that practically, it's probably our only alternative to staying here in boring Vermont all year. Look, I don't want to go alone, and I wouldn't leave you here alone. I'll only go if you agree to come with me, to keep you company. And I'll make you a great offer. I'll share my salary with you, you won't have to work, and you'll still get paid. After we take off our living expenses and stuff, I'll split with you the money left over, 65% for me, and 35% for you. That sounds fair, since I'll be the one actually working, right? And I'll even give you an option to bail in the middle. We'll arrive there at the end of August. School for you and work for me start on the 5th of September. If by the 5th of November you still hate it, we'll pack up and leave immediately, okay? Don't give me an answer now, think about it for a day or two and then tell me. I have until a week from today to give them an answer. Consider one more point, though, Billy. I think it would help you with your pride and self-esteem. Think about it. You know how you're embarrassed by the way you look? I don't think you need to be, but I know that you are. You're embarrassed that you're thin and not so muscular. It's not your fault, that's the way you were born. But you know, at Albertton, you'd have the most perfect body. All the guys want bodies like yours there, many of them go on starvation diets to try and get your figure. You could even work as a model if you wanted to. You wouldn't have to be embarrassed anymore. You'd feel like a king. Really, I think you'd like it. I think it'll be hard for you to adjust at first, but that in the end, you'll really like it. I don't want to go. Billy, please, it's my birthday. You don't have to agree to go. Just agree to one thing for me. Consider it for 3 days, okay? Can you agree to think about it for 3 days and then give me an answer? I hesitated a few seconds, and then with disbelief, responded, all right. Thanks, Billy, she said, and planted a kiss on my cheek. 2 days went by. At first I tried not to think about the proposal at all, because whenever I did think about it, I felt sick. But as the time went by I began thinking more. The money side was enticing. And the picture of the island. And deep down, I thought it might be nice to finally not have to be embarrassed by the way I looked. But it still made me sick to think of having to wear tights. Yuck! A few times, when my sister and parents were out of the house, I went into my sister's room to look at her clothes. I even tried on a pair of tights and one of her bathing suits. I looked at myself in the mirror. It was disgusting. I quickly took off the clothes and left her room. I was so embarrassed that I actually tried that stuff on. At the end of the 3rd day, I went into Steph's room. Okay, you win. I'll give it a try on the conditions you mentioned. I get 35% of your salary, after living expenses are deducted. If I hate it in the beginning of November, we come home immediately. And you have to treat me like your brother, not like your son. And make sure we get a place with at least 2 bedrooms. Steph's face lit up with a big pretty smile. Thanks, Billy, she said, and gave me an enormous hug and kiss. I'll always be grateful to you for this. And you won't regret it, trust me. You don't have to do a thing, I'll take care of all the arrangements from here. Just do one thing, start growing your hair long. You'll fit in better like that. With that, she started writing an email. I left her room. For a week before our scheduled departure, our parents left for Texas. Then our big preparations began. Steph wanted to shave my legs, chest and armpits for me, and toss me a Speedo bathing suit to change into. but I refused to put it on. So she rolled up one of my pant legs just a little and tried to teach me how to do it with her electric shaver, myself. But I couldn't get the hang of it, and the shaver left thick dark stubble on my legs. She tried using her other machine, the one that rips the hairs out from the roots, but it hurt too much. I couldn't stand it. So she said she had another idea, and that we should wait for tomorrow. The next day I went into her room. She told me I should put on the Speedo under my clothes. I asked why, but she said, just do it. Under your clothes nobody'll see it anyway. So I went into the bathroom and put it on. I wasn't used to wearing a Speedo and it felt pretty tight. I put my pants back on and went back to her room. Are you wearing it? Yes, I said. How does it feel? Weird, tight, I answered. Good. Now sit on my bed. She was doing something with a glass bottle and a cloth. I thought she'd tell me to rub the cloth on my legs. She brought the cloth over and pressed it to my face, covering my nose and mouth. I was confused and tried to pull her head away, but her hands held it tight on my face. I heard her say, "A friend of mine who works at a pharmacy got this for me. Don't worry, everything will be just fine." I began feeling drowsy. When I was almost completely out, I felt her gently lying me down on her bed. I slowly came to. I felt cold and realized I wasn't wearing much. The skin on my legs, chest, face, armpits, stomach, and nearly everywhere else was tingling strangely, stinging slightly. "Good morning, Billy," Steph said, holding her head over mine so I could see her face. She was smiling sweetly. Her hair was cut short, boy-like. She slowly lifted me up into a sitting position. I looked down at myself. I was now wearing the same Speedo I had put on under my clothes, and she had dressed me in one of her bikini tops that was a matching color. She had done a good job, not a hair in sight, except for those on my head, eyelashes, and eyebrows. "So, do you like it?" she asked. "Come take a look in the mirror." She took my hands and pulled me up into a standing position and led me over to her full-length mirror. I looked at myself in disbelief. I looked really feminine, except for the flat chest and the bulge in the Speedo. I was completely free of hair, my legs and arms were very smooth, without even the faintest stubble. I noticed that she had put some lipstick on my lips and a little blush on my cheeks, and had combed out my hair and put it in a girlish ponytail. I looked myself over again, and then looked at her. She was smiling, not a nasty smile, a pure, happy smile. I looked again at the mirror. I had never let anyone see me so uncovered before. I felt very embarrassed and vulnerable. Then Stephanie said, "Oh Billy, you look absolutely gorgeous," and drew me into a hug. She massaged my bare back as she hugged me. Then she let go. "Okay, let's see which of my clothes you'll be able to wear, and what we'll have to buy you when we get there." She began handing me clothes, which I obediently tried on. She made 2 piles on her bed, things I would wear, and things we would leave behind. I tried on tights and leggings and bodysuits and leotards. I tried on spandex shorts and tops, sport bras. I tried on dresses and skirts. She didn't give me any pants to try on, and no dresses or skirts that were long enough to cover my knees. At one point she gave me this slinky cleany black, sleeveless evening dress to try on, with a pair of black tights. It had an open back. I looked at myself in the mirror, at my naturally thin waistline, at my thin well-shaped legs, at my bare back, shoulders and arms. She walked up behind me and undid my ponytail, letting my hair fall down. "You look absolutely stunning," she said, quietly. I thought that I looked like the way I normally enjoy to see girls dressed. I looked good. Practically the only things that didn't fit me were her bathing suits, which weren't made for boys, and her shoes. We'd have to get those things when we got there. Aside from those, though, I had accumulated a very nice wardrobe. Then we went to my room to see which of my clothes fit her. I meant to change back into boys' clothes before leaving her room, but forgot, and ended up going in the spandex shorts and tight spaghetti-stringed belly button-revealing top that I was wearing. She didn't mention anything about this, and by the time I realized it, she was already halfway through my wardrobe, and I decided to just stay wearing it until we were done. It was actually kind of comfortable, cool on a hot summer's day. Most of my clothes fit her well. She even tried on some of my baggy swimming shorts, and stood shirtless/braless in front of the mirror. It was weird seeing her bare breasts. I noticed that her leg and armpit hair had grown noticeably, and she even had some hair on her chest. The next few days I continued to wear boys' clothes, although most of my clothes were now up in her room and her clothes were down in mine. We packed up all our stuff. I reminded her to bring along the bottle of ether so she'd be able to do my legs again when the time came. We boarded the plane. I was wearing boys' clothes and she was wearing girls' clothes, but we each had a change of clothing in our carry-on. The plane was full of young families. The adults were all dressed in normal American sex-associated clothes, but I thought that many of the children came onto the plane wearing the new style. It was kind of hard to tell. Steph and I thought we'd change clothes in the airport when we landed, but we noticed that during the 7-hour flight that everyone was gradually going into the restroom to change, and we decided to do the same. Steph emerged wearing a pair of my baggy jeans and a large t-shirt. I wore a sleeveless, open-backed sundress whose top was suspended by strings tied behind my neck. As I nervously returned to my seat, I noticed many of the women looking me over, bottom to top, with happy smiles on their faces. I sat down and Steph reminded me to straighten out my dress so that my underwear wouldn't be visible. 2 people greeted us at the airport, a young man and a young girl. The girl introduced herself as Jane Trepp, daughter of Samantha Trepp, CEO of the company Steph would be working at. Jane was my age, and she would be in my class at the Eleanor Roosevelt High School. The boy was her older brother Lenny, who was Steph's age, and was working for some theater group. Their mother sent them to greet us, take us to our apartment, show us around a bit and explain to us how the island colony ran. We waited for our luggage to arrive. Jane took my suitcases for me. She was pretty small. Lenny offered to carry Steph's small carry-on case for her, but Steph said she could manage. They led us outside to their car. Jane took the driver's seat and told me to sit up front with her. Steph and Lenny sat in the back, together. "Stephanie, the company bought you a car. It's waiting for you in your parking space at your apartment," Lenny said. "Is it easy to get a driver's license here? I'll be turning 16 in a month," I said. Lenny started laughing. In Albertton, boys are not allowed to drive. It was proven that in countries that allow men to drive, the accident rate is very high. So about 15 years ago the Grand Council outlawed male driving. Girls can get a driver's license here at age 14. "Do you have a license, Stephanie?" Steph chuckled. "Of course I do. I love to drive. Thanks for the car. I won't be able to drive here? That's crazy. How will I get around? How will I get to school? I've never heard of anything like this before," I complained. Jane patted my knee and said, "Don't worry, Billy. Trust me, it's for the better that boys don't drive. Anyway, you guys live on my way to school so I can give you a ride in my car." We drove for a few more minutes in silence. I pondered my fate in this weird female-dominated society. Then we pulled up in front of a pretty apartment complex, and Jane said, "Here it is." This is where you will live." She parked the car and quickly came around to my side to open the door for me. Jane took a set of keys out of her pocket and handed them to Stephanie. "Here are the keys to your place. I think you'll like it. We'll take you inside, it's just this way. 6 apartment 409. They let us inside. It was a beautiful, spacious, modern, furnished apartment. It had a large kitchen, large living and dining rooms, a den and 2 bedrooms. It had 2 bathrooms, one with a 2-person jacuzzi. There was a balcony overlooking a large, blue pool. Down below I could see little children playing gleefully in the water, with a few adults sunbathing by the side. When we entered the first bedroom, which had white walls with gray trim, a very modern-looking bed and chest of drawers and a built-in 4-door closet, I instinctively sat down on the bed. Jane said, "Oh, Billy, you'll probably prefer the other bedroom. This one's been made up for Steph." The other bedroom had peach-colored walls with white trim. The bed was made up with frilly, satin sheets. There was a low dresser, a makeup table, and a picture of a basket of puppy dogs on the wall. The only thing that seemed inappropriate in this girlish room that was meant for me was the built-in, 2-door closet. True, the doors were floor-to-ceiling mirrors, but I would have expected the girls' room to have a bigger closet than the boys', not this way. My surprise, however, didn't last long. Jane's brother Lenny came into the room and proudly told me, "Billy, you're going to love this closet." With that he threw open the doors, revealing a long, lighted, walk-in closet, complete with 2 clothes rods, a bunch of shelves, a shoe rack, and another mirror on the end. I should have known. Jane told me she'd pick me up for school at 8 o'clock in the morning, then she left with her brother. "So, what do you think?" asked Steph. I made a face. I tried to set up my room the best I could, arranging my wardrobe and other belongings in the peach-colored room, and then went out onto the balcony to watch the kids in the pool. 7 Steph left early the next morning for her first day at work. I looked around my room, in the closet, in my dresser, everywhere, and nearly went out of my mind. This is really embarrassing coming out of the mind of a guy, but I didn't know what to wear. I had no idea what the other boys at school would be wearing. This dress looked too formal, this outfit too informal. I tried calling Steph on her cell phone, but she didn't answer, and I didn't know her new number at work. At around 7:30, panicking, I looked up the Trep's phone number in the phone book and gave her a call. Jane said that her brother wasn't home, but that she'd come by to try and give me a hand. I was embarrassed, but grateful that she'd help me. After hanging up the phone, I ran back to my room, quickly took off the boyish pajamas I was wearing and put on a short t-shirt and spandex shorts that Steph often wore around the house back in Vermont. I combed out my hair the best I could and put it in a simple ponytail. I had just finished dabbing on a bit of lipstick when the doorbell rang. Jane took me by the hand and led me into my room. "You look awesome the way you're dressed now, but it's a little too informal for school. Here, let me take a look." She started going through my closet. "I've got to tell you, Billy. You're going to be the best-looking boy in the whole class. You've got the best body. The girls will be all over you.